Hi guys, welcome to yet another React tutorial. Today we're going to take a look at how we can create this drag and drop component in pure React, no third-party libraries or anything like that. And I'm going to show you a pretty easy way you can do this, so stay tuned. Let's talk a little bit about how we're going to construct this. We want two components, one component that is draggable and one that we can drop the draggable components into. We also want this to be generic so that we can drag and drop whatever we want to. To do this, we're going to create a wrapper component that makes use of a prop type in React called children. Using this prop, we can add other components or HTML in between our component tags like this, and thereby making it possible for us to wrap it with our own drag and drop functionality. So let's create a new folder called DND. And inside of this, we'll need some subfolders. One is going to be called droppable, and one is going to be called draggable. And we're going to start off in the droppable folder, create a new index file, and then import React and prop types. Like that. And then we need a class. Great. And then we need the render method. And inside of here, we're going to create a div. And what we're going to pass in between these div tags here is the children. So this .props.children, which basically allows you to do this. So we can create a droppable component, and then you can pass in elements here, and all of those elements will be in this child prop here. Then we're going to need some methods here. One is going to be called drop, and this will take in an event. And what we're going to do with this event is we're going to prevent the default behavior first. Prevent default. And then we want to create a data constant. And we're going to get the data from doing e.dataTransfer.getData. And it's actually not a function. Just like that. And then inside of this data here, we're going to throw in the key transfer. You can choose whatever key you want here. Then we're going to call e.target.append child, and we're going to append this. So document.getElementById, and what we're going to get is the data. Great. After that, we need to have another method that allows us to do this. So allow drop. And inside of this, we need to get the event, and we need to do e.preventDefault here as well. And now in the div here, we're going to add some properties. The first one is the ID, which we're going to extract from the props of this component. So this.props.id. The next thing we need is an onDrop method or attribute, and this is going to call this.drop. We also need an onDragOver attribute, and this will be calling this.allowDrop. And just for the hell of it, we're going to create a style prop here as well, and we're going to be able to pass in styles to this component. Now we need to define those prop types. So in the bottom here, create your prop types, and the first one was the ID, which is a string, and then we need the style, and this is an object, and then the children. And this is a node object. Okay, So that's it for the droppable class. Now we need to create the draggable class. So the droppable is basically the containers that you can drop and drag and drop items between. So let's create this index.js file here, and we need to import the same things as we did on the other component. Like that. And now we're going to create another class. Draggable. And that will also be a React component. And in the render method, we're going to, there we go, we're going to create another div. And this div will also have some properties. So they are also bound to some methods here. So we're going to create a drag function. And this function will take in an event. And we're going to call e.data_transfer.setData. And then you can set transfer as a key, and this has to match this one here, the droppable class. So basically we're binding this to this. And when that is done, we also need to pass in the target ID here. So e.target.id. And that is basically it for this method. Then we also need another method, which is noAllowDrop, because we don't want to be able to drop this into another draggable object. And we're just going to call e.stopPropagation. And we also need to pass the event in here. So on the div, we're going to first have an ID, just as we did in the droppable. So this.props.id, and then we're going to set the draggable property here equal to true. We're going to have an attribute called onDragStart, and this will call this.drag. We also need an onDragOver attribute, and this will call this.noAllowDrop. And then let's just do this style attribute as well. So this.props.style. And now let's define the prop types here. So we had an ID. Basically we can just copy and paste whatever we have here, because this will also take in the children. I forgot that. So this.props.children. Great. So now we've created those classes here, and now we want a way to test this. So I'm just going to create another folder called D&D test, and you can create your index.js file here. And now I'm going to show you how to use everything. So import React as usual. We want to import styled components. Like that. And then we want to import our newly created components, so draggable and the droppable. Great. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a wrapper for everything, just to align everything. And we can set this, give this a width of 100%. We can get it, set some padding. We can just display this in a row. Can't type. Justify content. And let's put that center. And then we'll create the actual items which we're going to drag and drop. So it's also going to be a div, and I'm just going to style this a bit. So let's give it a padding of 8 pixels. Let's give it some text color and a background color, perhaps. We'll put that to be white, and then we can just set the border radius to make it look a bit prettier. And now we need a style for the droppable components. So droppable style, and this is an object, so it's not a style component. We can just alter the background color, and we can set the width, and we also need to set a height. And let's go ahead and add some margin as well, so they get spaced away from each other, because we're going to create 2 of these, so 32 pixels. And now we can create our class. Great. And now we need a render method, and that's basically it. So like that. And now we're going to add the wrapper. So wrapper. And then inside of here, we're going to initialize a droppable. So just like that. And we're actually going to take 2 of these. We need to give this an ID. So the ID is going to be dr1 for this, and we're going to set the ID to dr2 for the other one. And then we can just add the styles. So style equal to the droppable style. And I'll just paste that for the other one as well. And now we can create the draggable items. So draggable, and we're going to give this an ID as well. So we're going to set it to, let's say item 1. And we can create another one just for the hell of it, 2. And then we can take our item, just put that in between the draggable, and let's do it here as well. And we can just type some text here, so some text, some other text. And I've actually misspelled something here, so styled, there we go. And then we're also going to give these some styles. And we're just going to set the margin to, let's say, 8 pixels, just to make it a bit more spacier. There we go. And now we can use this component. So go back to the apps folder and import it. dnd/intest. Great. And just paste this in here. And hopefully everything should be working fine now. So we have draggable elements, and those are drag and droppable. I really hope this was useful for you. If you like my videos, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!